Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Charlie's Take and 10 by 10 if you're watching. As this show, La PIÑA ROSA, is back and is broadcasted on both channels. So make sure you're subscribed to both if you haven't already. Like both streams and get all your thoughts in the chat about everything we're going to speak about today. Of course, revolving around Deportivo and Palermo, both teams in the second divisions of their countries, Spain and Italy. Of course, both of our teams that we follow alongside Spurs and Newcastle, respectively. Big up to FC25 every single time as well. Appreciate the kind words. And look, this should be an interesting show. Big up to Scott. Look, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. But yeah, big up Scott every single time. So yeah, this should be an interesting show. I mean, Palermo's played twice since. Obviously, Palermo have a game tomorrow as well as next weekend. So there'll be quite a bit. And yeah, Scott, I see you, Scott. so there you go. But yeah, 10. Look, for both of us, it's been, especially Premier League wise, it's been a shit weekend, an absolute load of shit for both. Because I'm just as pissed off with your result as you are because of who it was against. But obviously, my team couldn't break the curse against Wolves. But look, apart from that, how have you been?
Yeah, been good. Looking forward to. Seems like it's going to be a big week for me, I guess. I'm going to be 1 year older by Saturday. So when Spurs play Leeds United, it's on my birthday. I know Deportivo also play that day. I believe also Palermo play
Spezia. Yeah.
So yeah, some games to look forward to on my birthday on Saturday. Newcastle don't play until Sunday, so the day after. But hopefully that day I'll also be a Manchester United fan because they play Sunderland on my birthday. So
Sunderland, the cooking. What do you have to say? They're cooking.
Oh, God.
They cooked Ange, Scott's favourite manager. They were cooking Ange.
on hopefully we get to cook Ange. What he calls on this coming Sunday. But yeah, looking forward to everything and obviously talking about Deportivo and Palermo.
Yeah, look, should be 100%. So yeah, guys, like I said, subscribe to both channels, get all your thoughts in the chat on everything we're going to speak about. So I think, the best place to start is with Palermo this week. Of course, Palermo played Udinese in the Coppa Italia. Of course, we're facing a Serie A team, the second Serie A team we faced this season. Of course, we knocked out Cremonese, who have actually had a good start to their league season. And then we faced Udinese. Definitely a much better team, a sort of a mid-table team. We made a lot of changes, as I expected. It was a very heavily rotated team. Clearly, look, if we're talking realistically, Palermo aren't going to win the Coppa Italia, unfortunately. And the priority, clearly, because of that especially, is...
out.
Nah, no way. The priority is, of course, to win Serie B, get promoted. So it was no surprise to see the change team. And as a result, we did end up losing 2-1, exactly as I predicted. I thought we might just kind of fall short in this game. But kind of like, it was interesting because obviously you can see on the screen here, like our team, obviously very changed. Jolonen, that's not a change, but the back three, Pirozzi, Peda, and Veroli. So 2 changes there. Midfield, 4 across the midfield. Giassi and Giovanni, who's a midfielder playing at left wing back, who I thought had an absolute stinker, to be honest. But Gomez and Blin, and then Leduran, Vasic, and Corona. So it was a completely changed team, apart from 2 or 3 players in there, all subs usually. For Udinese, they made changes as well, as you can see. They did have Zaniolo there. They did have Cabasele, Solet, Kamara, all usually start for them. But apart from that, you had Davis on the bench, amongst others as well. Look, this game, it was interesting because I actually thought we started really well. Like, we should have battered Udinese. We should have scored about 2 or 3 goals in the first maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the game. Corona, he's got to put these chances away, man. Like, Corona's obviously, look, he's a backup striker for us. Like, he's not, look, he's 21. He's still a prospect. He's very raw. Came through our academy, but he's got to be, like, any striker's got to be putting those chances away early on. As you can see, look, the momentum bar kind of shows it a little bit that we actually, look, with a changed team, we were actually playing a lot better than I thought we were in those early stages. But kind of what happened was two lapses in concentration saw us go 2-0 down at halftime. And I didn't think we deserved to be 2-0 down, but we got punished for mistakes. The first goal, Zaniolo, it was, a good strike, but Jolonen should save it. He definitely, was close enough to be able to. And then their second goal, pissing around, playing out from the back. Veroli, who came in for his first start, should have just cleared the ball. Doesn't, and then obviously we get punished for the second goal. Second half, I thought we made some subs at half time and everything. But second half, I thought Udinese probably were the better team. They probably, maybe could have got another goal or so. But, Palermo lost any rhythm they had early doors. And it was, clearly not a game that we were going to get back into. But, we did get a consolation goal, Patrick Pedder from a corner. But it was basically almost the last kick of the game. Like, it was just, it was a consolation, but it was too little too late, unfortunately. And the way I see it is, look, Palermo, two, sort of mistakes in the last 5 minutes cost us that game, obviously. But because, look, Palermo, because there was literally, we were never going to win the Coppa Italia, obviously speaking realistically as a Serie B team, I'm not too bummed with that result. Gives us time to focus on the realistic goal and the true aim, which is getting promoted this season. So, honestly, because Palermo weren't going to win the Coppa Italia, I'm not too fussed. And clearly the team selection that Inzaghi went with clearly showed that this game, it wasn't prioritized. And you could kind of see that in a lot of areas. But 10, what did you make of the game?
Yeah, unfortunately, no Juventus against Palermo.
That's what I'm bummed about. That's the part.
Yeah, but maybe in 5 years when Palermo actually do get promoted.
You're cooking me for no reason.
But overall, I kind of expected. We both actually said Udinese to win. I think I said 2-0 as well. But I think overall it's an alright performance for Palermo, considering it's against you can say a relatively mid-table Serie A team. So I think, obviously getting knocked out isn't that good, obviously, and that actually means that now we actually have a game that we actually talked about, one of our teams being losers. Thankfully, it was Palermo. But
it wasn't in the league. It was in the Coppa Italia. So.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow. But I think overall, I think I predicted 2-0 in this game, which, to be honest, it could have easily happened if, the last minute goal from Palermo wasn't scored. But I kind of expected, and obviously now we don't have to talk about the Coppa Italia anymore, at least in regards to Palermo. So I would say the only thing disappointing is cannot get Juventus in the next round. But
it's a shame. Yeah, that's the one thing I was like, if we beat Udinese, I'll be like, bring on Juve, because I wanted to see that game happen. But big up Anthony joining the chat as well. Yeah, I watched it. I watched your game yesterday. Big win for you guys. You guys are doing really well. Top of the league right now. Allegri with Modric, with these guys. Yeah, Pulisic. There. Milan are doing bits so far. So we'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, I kind of agree with what you said. Palermo, look, it is what it is. But it could have been different if Corona puts his chances away. It really could have been. And that obviously, look, but we'll never know. So there you go. That's our thoughts on Palermo's Coppa Italia exit. Like I said, not too bummed, if I'm being really honest, based on, what the true aim is for this season. But speaking of that, we'll get on to Serie B. We played Cesena at the weekend on Saturday. Got a draw, 1-1 away from home. Cesena, with our former manager, Magnani. Former manager came in the 23-24 season when Corini obviously is a player, club legend, but as a manager, horrible for us. If I'm being really honest. Apart from, I brought this up on another show. Corini, what was the period of games I remember under Corini was when we beat Como 3-0, we beat Bari 3-0, and we were second. It wasn't just those results. There were other wins in there as well. It was like a stretch. It was like a run of like 5 or 6 games where we were just cooking. Like, we were insane. And I was like, I always say this, you had to have been there. You had to be there, because that was nuts. But then obviously since then, we went downhill. Corini got sacked. Magnani came in as an interim for till the end of the season. And he's now at Cesena, and he's doing a good job there. Cesena, obviously, his newly promoted team last season, did well. And this year, they've made a really good start to the season, a similar start to Palermo. Both came in on the same number of points. And yeah, 100% Anthony, exactly this. So I knew this would be a tough game. I knew that Cesena would be our hardest opponent so far, apart from maybe Frosinone, if you look at the way they've started the season. But it was a draw, obviously 1-1. Mattia Bani rescuing us in the second half to equalize. It was a fair result, I think. I think that both teams, kind of cancelled each other out. I think that both had chances that they could have done better with in different periods. But overall, especially, I thought in the second half, it was a very cagey game, especially after we scored. But yeah, for me, a draw, not the worst result in the world, considering, other results kind of went in our way as well this weekend. And obviously, look, Cesena, tricky team. Very, very difficult team. So I knew that this wouldn't be easy. But a draw's not terrible. If we're going to draw games, these are the kind of games that you draw, essentially. We can't be drawing, to... Hopefully in our next game we don't draw. That's for me. That for me has to be a win the next game. So, but these kind of games, I'm not... As long as we win the games that we're supposed to win, and we don't mess around against, like we did a lot last year, then I'm fine, because we'll have enough to get promoted. And obviously, you're not going to win every game. So Cesena away, tough game, and I think a draw, honestly, based on the balance of play, was a fair result. The only kind of issue that I have, or not issue, but the only kind of disappointment for us is that we're getting a lot of injuries in midfield now. Ranocchia got injured against Udinese in that game, something I forgot to mention. And then Gomez got injured in this game against Cesena. So Gomez and Ranocchia are both out. Alexis Blin came on. I thought he'd done okay against Udinese. Came on in this game. Yeah, he was. Look, Blin. The way I look at Blin is he's a backup. Like, he's not a player that I think can be a starter for us, consistently. But he's a player that can fill in. Obviously, look, he's somebody with Serie A experience with Hellas Verona, I believe it was. So not the worst player to come in, but I wouldn't really. I hope that these injuries aren't serious, because I wouldn't want Blin starting a long stretch of games, if that makes sense. But luckily, look, we got Segre in there. For me, definitely our best midfielder. The team was kind of as expected. The only kind of surprise you could say was that Brunori was on the bench. Inzaghi decided to leave him on the bench, just like he did against Sud-Tirol. So it's not the first time. He went with Palumbo, Poyampalo, and Ledoran as the front three. And the way I look at Palermo is if obviously Palermo are playing well, if I'm looking at one thing that I think we lack, because I think our squad is the best in the league. I've said that before. But I think if there's one thing that we're lacking in this squad, it's speed. Somebody like a direct winger that can dribble, that can run at players, and can, be a threat in terms of his pace. I believe that that's someone that I'd want. I don't know what player, but that's something I want Palermo to look at in January, especially if, maybe it's a bit tight in the league and stuff. For me, we lack a player that has just pure pace, can just cause problems that way. But nevertheless, I think that with the wing-back system we're playing, that helps. But sometimes in games, when we're against, like in this game against Cesena, the way this game was going, I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be great if we just had someone with a lot of pace that can... And I'm not saying our players are slow. Like, we don't have, like, loads of slow players or anything. We just need somebody a bit more direct. And it would have been good in this type of game against Cesena, where it was really cagey towards the end. We could have somebody just to come on and offer us something different. But nevertheless, Agello, top performance. I really like what I'm seeing from Agello so far. Another assist for him. This guy, do you know what Agello reminds me of? He's like, do you remember like Kostic at Frankfurt when they won like the Europa and stuff? Just constantly getting those crosses in, and it offers us a real threat. Obviously, Pirozzi once again starting in the back three with Giassi at right back. Here's the thing with this. I think obviously Magnani, unfortunately, going on loan because he had some family problems to deal with, so he moved back up north. Veroli's performance didn't convince me against Udinese in midweek, so I'm thinking that we maybe, like, now I've kind of seen a few games of this team, we lack a bit of depth in the centre-back area. We want Pirozzi. I know Giassi is better at right wing-back than he is at left wing, but we want Pirozzi to be at right wing-back. Having him and Giassi as those options, because Pirozzi at right wing-back offers a really good threat, kind of like Agello. More of a player that's going to get on the end of things. But I think that having him as part of the back three, look, he can play there, but I think it doesn't quite get sort of the most out of him. Obviously, Bani with the goal. Agello's cross, another cross that was right on the money, gets it in. Bani should have scored a header earlier on in the game as well. So like I said, it was a game where both teams had chances. Obviously, their goal that they scored, they took the lead in the first half. The defending has to be better. It's as simple as that. You know, I don't know what we're doing. We had time to kind of make a block, but we just kind of let him have, you know, too much time, kind of multiple bites of the cherry, as they say. It's one of those sorts of goals. Just a really annoying goal, if I'm being really honest. But we did get back into the game, and look, we were lucky, I'd say probably early doors in the second half, because they missed a 1-on-1. And we could have easily been 2-0 down at that point. So luckily we got back in the game. I think a draw was deserved, probably on the balance of play. And like I said, away to Cesena, not the worst result in the world. So yeah, 10, I'll let you go. What was your thoughts on Palermo's draw at Cesena?
Yeah, I think, as you said, kind of even, you would say, a draw. I think I actually did predict the 1-1 in our last show. So I wasn't wrong in saying that Palermo dropped points here. I do think that Palermo really did try to cause a lot of problems early on. I saw a couple of chances from Palermo. Eventually, later on, I think Belsa.
Palermo hit the bar as well in from a header in the second half. Top of the bar.
I think it was Belsa, the one that scored the opening goal. Do I think that actually before he scored? Do I think that was a penalty?
Oh yeah,
perhaps. Obviously,
I remember now. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Do I think it's a penalty? Yeah, I would say so, because I think it was a really good play, and I think I forgot who was the one that made the foul. I think it wasn't a good a tackle, basically.
I remember that. Yeah, we got lucky. We got a bit lucky.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not really lucky, because they scored anyway.
So it would have probably been given as a pen if they didn't score. But yeah.
So I think overall, Cesena, I think also deserved a lot of credit in that game. And then obviously second half, I forgot who scored. Bani scored. But I think overall the game kind of eventually, you could say, petered out, I guess. In the second half, I know I think it was Palermo, someone else had a header that was saved by the goalkeeper from Cesena. But I think a draw was probably the fair result in the end between the two teams. And because I do think that Cesena and Palermo, obviously, they're in the top 4 joint. Actually, only like one goal difference is
same. Yeah, look how crazy this table is. This is really tight. You look at this, right? Like I said, results apart from maybe Frosinone winning, results kind of, you know, didn't really affect us too much over the weekend. Look, we're second again, ole. But in Serie B, second's fine because it gets you promoted. So it is what it is. But we're second, obviously, like I said, Cesena we both came into this on 10 points, both end with 11 points. Frosinone, unfortunately, beat Mantova, who have had a horrible start. So they moved level on points with us. And then Modena, who, look, here's the thing with Modena. They've had a really favourable run of fixtures. They've played teams that you'd expect Modena to beat, if I'm being honest. Do I think if they stay there in sort of the title race, fair play to them. But honestly, I don't expect them. I don't expect them to be there for a much longer, if I'm being honest, because like I said, I think they've had some very favourable fixtures early on in the season. But they are top. They're 2 points above us, so it's up to us to. And Modena, we're playing them pretty soon, so hopefully we continue our good record against them. But yeah, like I said, it's really tight at the moment. Both Cesena and Palermo on 11 points. You look at the goals scored. We've scored 7 goals. I want to see us do more with our attack because we've got Palermo, we've got Brunori, we've got Palumbo. These guys, like I said, we create a lot. For the quality of strikers we have, we should be scoring more goals than what we are.
Yeah, like the fact that you're in the top, what do you call this? The top 8, the minimum playoff, apart from Juve Stabia or whatever, like your joint lowest goal scorers, along with Venezia, who you actually play tomorrow.
Yep, but here's the thing: we're the joint lowest scorers in the top 8, but on XG we're probably the highest. That's the thing, because especially at home, like in the home games we've played against Reggiana and Bari the last game, we had 30 shots in both of them, and both their keepers got man of the match in both of the games. Yeah. So I do believe the goals will come, but we do have to put the chances away.
Yeah, especially in you can say the tighter games, like the one tomorrow.
Yeah,
against Venezia, because I think that's the first genuine test for Palermo. Obviously, you could say Udinese because a better quality team.
It's Coppa Italia, so it's with a changed team,
kind of rotated team. But now this is the big test, because I remember this was also the playoff game when Venezia went up and won both games.
Yep, and Poyampalo cooked us. Poyampalo, and then we signed him.
Yeah,
but it will be interesting, because here's the thing with Venezia: they did get a win over the weekend against Spezia, but overall, look, they haven't had the best start. 2 draws and a loss in there, but they are 8 points. And they can go level on points if they beat us. And the positive with Palermo is we're defending really well. Just 2 goals conceded in 5 games. I think Bani coming in has really added leadership and kind of solidity into the back line. If this defense can stay the way it is, and we just need to improve that attack, we're going to win games a lot more comfortably than what we have so far. But this game against Venezia, look, this will be a tricky game, because Venezia obviously are a relegated team. They came down from Serie A last season. They knocked Parma out the Coppa Italia midweek as well. So they got a win against a Serie A team in midweek. So look. Yeah, there you go. but we're above Venezia as it stands. So this will be a hard game. I think, like I said, Poyampalo against his old club for the first time, I think will be quite interesting. But Palermo, when it comes to home advantage, I think that's a big deal for us. We're at home. Teams so far, apart from maybe Frosinone, which was a bit tight, we've maybe not scoreline wise, but we have battered 2 out of the 3 teams that have come to the Barbera this season. Bari and Reggiana should have beaten them both by more goals. Venezia, look, this is the thing. Palermo at home especially, I'm going to back us, because we have the quality, and when we have the fans backing us, like it's very difficult. It's very difficult for any team to come to our ground. But like you did mention, Venezia beat us in the playoffs, obviously when they went up a couple of years ago. And we don't have a good record against Venezia. At home, we haven't beaten them for a long time. In both games, when they got promoted, we lost both home games. We did beat them away that season, but we lost both home games in the playoff and we lost 3-0 in the regular season. Poyampalo with a brace in that game. The year before, we lost 1-0 at home when they weren't as good. So we haven't even scored since they've kind of, since we got promoted in 2022. Venezia we haven't scored against them at our ground. We haven't scored a goal against them. So it's time to change that. But I'll let you go first on this. Kind of looking at Venezia, looking at Palermo being the home team. Kind of what's your thoughts about this game? Because it is going to be tricky, but I think Palermo being at home could hopefully sort of make the difference here.
Yeah, this is like Wolverhampton one was by Palermo style.
No, that's Cittadella, who are in Serie C now. And they're like at the bottom as well. So.
But with this game against Venezia, as I said, I think it's the first big test. Obviously, you don't have a good record against them. Even though, you have Paulo, that could be you can say an omen or something, but it really depends. Former players can do well and former players can do bad. So we'll find out what version of Paulo we'll get tomorrow night.
It's really tough, honestly.
Yeah,
like this is gonna be a tough game.
Yeah.
I know what you're gonna do. I know what you're gonna do.
No. I think Palermo will definitely put up a good fight in this game. But I don't know. I just have a feeling that Venezia may have. Obviously, they got recently relegated, but they also have a good record at Palermo.
They lost a few players though in the summer. Maybe that's partly why they haven't. They've had a bit of an inconsistent start to the season.
Yeah, but obviously, I think this is the first time this season they got back-to-back wins, as in the cup and the league. I know it was against Spezia, who we'll talk about like after this. But I do think that might be the first big test, and I'm not sure if Inzaghi, not Simone, would be able to deal with it.
Filippo.
Yeah. I will go with a 2-1 Venezia win. That's what I'll go for.
It's like you're saying our first loss of the season.
Is that home?
Yeah. No, we can't lose this game. This is because I said Venezia. It's a really big game based on what I said, because I said that Venezia is one of the teams I'm looking at as a real threat to the promotion and stuff. I looked at Venezia and Empoli, who have had a horrendous start to the season.
Yeah. Even Spezia.
But Venezia, I mean Spezia, that's another one. But Venezia, they've been inconsistent, but they've definitely been better than those teams. They've definitely been the best team out of the teams that I said would be the biggest threats to Palermo kind of getting promoted this season. And Venezia this game could be a bit of an early, sort of marker in sort of the race for the top two, essentially. And I think these are two teams that could easily finish in the top two this season. Yeah. Like if the top two is Palermo and Venezia at the end of the season, I don't think many people would be surprised if we're honest. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to call. We're defending really well right now. I think our defense hopefully will have enough to keep out Venezia, even though they do have some good players up there. But like I said, this is a game. Look, Palermo, especially at home, create a lot, but we might not create as much against a Venezia than what we would against a Reggiana or a Bari. So we have to take our chances. Palermo, look, we've been wasteful at times this season, despite our good start. It's tough to call. Defensively, we're looking good. This might be a bit cagey. Do you know what? 1-0 Palermo. 1-0. I think this is going to be close. Definitely, like you said, definitely our toughest test of the season, I would say. 1-0. 1-0 Palermo. Poi and Paolo against his old club. Ooh. You watch.
I mean, maybe Paolo scores in the 2-1 prediction I say for Venezia. It's just that he scores for Palermo and scores 2 own goals.
Could you imagine the scenes? It's like, who's it? Do you remember when was it Ronaldo scored an own goal against like Granada or something back in the day?
Something like that. Yeah.
And then the meme is like, fun fact, no team has ever kept a clean sheet when Cristiano Ronaldo was scored. So there you go. Yeah, so look, we'll see. Obviously, 10's backing against Palermo, so I hope he's wrong. And hopefully I'm right. And I'm saying 1-0 to Palermo. But it's a big game. It's a really big game. But I just very quickly, we can talk about Spezia. Obviously, that is our game at the weekend. Spezia have had a horrendous start. They were good last season, kind of got to the playoff final. Yeah, they were in the playoff final against Cremonese last season. They're currently 19th on 2 points. Spezia is an interesting one because last season my head loss was generational. Because Spezia, this was under the clown manager that we had, Dionisi. But what happened was when we last played away to Spezia, Palermo were 2-0 up, and we drew 2-2 when we were 2-0 up in the 90th minute. They scored 2 goals in 5 minutes, stoppage time. I'll never forget my head loss. Like, I wasn't doing this show at the time, but you guys believe my head loss would have been generational because honestly. So I hope we do not have any repeat of that playing Spezia, but I don't believe we will. If I'm doing, look, Spezia, they haven't started well. They do have they've got a player in there that I think is really talented. Salvatore Esposito. I think he's a really talented player in the midfield. So he's definitely one that we're going to have to watch out for. But I think Palermo can, like I said, it's hard to predict this because we have to play Venezia first. But if I'm doing an early prediction, I fully expect Palermo to win this game. And I think we're going to have enough. I'll go for a 3-1. I think we need to start scoring some more goals as well. So I'll go. If I'm doing an early prediction for Spezia, I'll probably say 3-1. What would you say? Just as an early shout.
For me, even though I said you lose to Venezia and it might, cause a little tension, and Spezia makes it a no. I actually do think that this is the game that Palermo actually does get the goals. I'll go with a big one, 4-0.
4-0. Wow.
But you have to
I'll say this about Palermo. We're definitely due a 4-0. We should have won. We should have had at least one 4-0.
I think this is where it comes, I guess.
I mean, Spezia away. Like I said, hopefully there's no repeat of last season because that was pathetic what happened there last season. But it's under Inzaghi now, and this is, like I keep saying, this is a new Palermo. This is nowhere near the team that was underperforming like crazy last season. So I'm optimistic. I'm still very optimistic about Palermo, but hopefully we get these 2 wins in the next 2 games before the international break. But like I said, tomorrow, obviously playing at the same time as Spurs against Bodo Glimt, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on both the games. It'll be a bit double the stress, to be honest, but let's see. So yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I believe that is the Palermo segment of the show. Just quickly as well, shout out to Cesena fans. Shout out to them because I don't know what made them do this, but during the game, their ultras had a big banner saying "We salute." Translated from Italian, it said "We salute Palermo." I'm like, fair play to the Cesena fans.
Maybe the team should have lost Cesena like 7-1.
Yeah, maybe they should have, been like, yeah, we love Palermo, so you can beat us. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, just I don't know why they did it. I might have missed, a reason that was out there or something. But fair play to the Cesena fans. They seem to, they seem to be very welcoming to Palermo on Saturday. Plus, they were joining in with. There's a video of it. Obviously, we were singing anti-Catania songs. They were even joining in with that as well. So fair play to them.
Is Cesena like near the south, I would assume?
No, Cesena's I forget where Cesena is. I've never been to Cesena. I should know.
I don't even know
Cesena. I believe it's Cesena. I should know. This is bad for me. I should know this. Cesena. No, Cesena. No, oh, yeah, that's where it is. Cesena's up north. It's near San Marino. It's not far from San Marino. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking of. I think there's maybe another Cesena down south. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's up north. So another one of many northern teams, unfortunately, in Italy. We need more from the south. So
I mean, at least there's one in the Champions League. It's not Palermo.
Napoli. Yeah, Napoli. Yeah, that's true. But maybe we will under the City group. We'll do a Girona.
Yeah, and I mean.
Not a Girona this season. Girona 3 years ago. not Girona this year.
Yeah, one good season and then you go
relegated
like 1 or 2 years later.
We ain't doing that. But yeah, like I said, I think that kind of wraps up the Palermo segment. Very tight on the table. Massive game tomorrow. Hopefully Inzaghi and the boys, they push through and get the job done. So we'll see. But yeah, let's move on to Deportivo. Now, Deportivo, look, like I said, this was not a good weekend for you at all. Deportivo, as the title says of both our shows, Deportivo, thought they had it. Thought they had the win in the bag, the 1 goal. But Eibar, of course, the team that everybody knows that Messi used to coach. Eibar man, exactly. Eibar got a last-minute equaliser in stoppage time. I'll be honest, Deportivo should have defended better. I think it was very sloppy defending for the goal. If I'm being honest, from what I saw, on the balance of play, a draw probably was the fair result. I thought Eibar had chances that they really wasted earlier in the game. The Deportivo, obviously, they took the lead with a penalty, Jeremy. But I didn't think they created enough in comparison to previous games. And I thought Eibar, to be honest, had some good opportunities that they missed. So, look, obviously, it would have been great if Deportivo could, as they say, stink out a 1-0. But ultimately, the pressure from Eibar kind of, it was coming. I thought, based on what I saw, the goal was coming, and obviously it ended a draw, which before the game, Eibar are a team that are in the playoffs right now, so it wouldn't have been, the worst, most disastrous result. But if you look at the circumstances, it is a bit, of a problem, just based on the fact that Deportivo were essentially minutes away from winning this game. So, yeah, Ten, I'll let you take it away. Your thoughts on your draw? Obviously, heartbreak in the last minute against Eibar.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not a good result against Eibar. I did predict like a 1-0 or something like that, but I think also I wasn't like, oh, we're gonna win this game 3-1 like you said. I think.
Yeah, you've been cooking the last few games. You've been 4-1, 5-1.
Yeah,
it's been.
But I think this was probably like the one of the games that I said like, oh, maybe like it won't be that sort of 5-1, 4-0 sort of game. But yeah, I think overall, I think we were okay, but not great. I do think Eibar were the better team in this game against Deportivo. I mean, they had almost double like the amount of passes and even.
Yeah, I mean, you based on what I saw, you look at it, they had 23 shots. Your keeper had to make 9 saves in this game.
Basically.
So the goal, you look at the momentum bar as well. The goal was coming, and they almost nicked it at the end. After they scored, they almost nicked it. Your keeper had to make a save.
Yeah, a good save by Herman. But yeah, I think overall, I did expect. I mean, I was hoping obviously for the 1-0 win, but I think in the balance of play, I would say kind of lucky, you can say, to get a draw, because obviously I think Eibar definitely had a lot more better chances in this game than Deportivo did, and we got the penalty, which I'll be honest, I don't even know if it was a penalty.
That's I forgot that's soft as well. Yeah, the penalty was a bit soft.
Yeah, it's kind of reminds me of, if you remember, when Newcastle 4, West Ham 3 a couple of seasons ago, it was Calvin Phillips that made that sort of tackle. That's the sort of tackle I remember in this game against Eibar.
I mean, speaking of penalties, I mean, I don't think we can talk. I don't think we should talk about certain penalty things that weren't given yesterday in the second half of a certain game.
Oh, in the first half of the game,
that was the correct decision. Pope got some of the ball. Anyway.
Well, we'll talk about it on show. But I think overall, this game, as I said, I did kind of expect Deportivo to have it a little bit more tougher than the past couple of games, and obviously it happened. Obviously, Eibar got the result in the end. Though it could have been a very big and crucial away win if Deportivo
would have been, if you guys won that game, it would have definitely been like a smash and grab. That's for sure.
Yeah, like a 1-0 smash and grab, but also like continue. I mean, Deportivo are still top of the league, unlike Palermo.
Well, you've played what, 2 more games than us?
Well, I mean, you'll catch up.
We will. Yeah, you are still top. That is the good thing. You are still top.
Because Cadiz also drawn as well. Yeah. And they've drawn as well. But I think overall in this game for Deportivo against Eibar, it was probably the fair result in the end. I think, obviously, David Meyer, one of the guy that scored 2 goals against Huesca, I literally forgot there's a FIFA U20 World Cup happening in Chile. And guess what? David Meyer is with that Spain team that just lost 2-0 to Morocco in the club.
Speaking of the U20 World Cup, Italy have qualified for that. We've qualified for a World Cup at least.
So yeah, at least like that's something, Maybe not next summer, but at least that's something.
Here we go.
We'll see by like November or March. But I think overall, probably the absence of David Meyer maybe affected Deportivo, so I'm kind of actually hoping that Spain get knocked out early, because now Spain lost to Morocco, so hopefully lose to Mexico and Brazil, so that Spain could, David Meyer can come back. Because
that's a loss. Yeah, that's a loss for you guys.
Yeah, because obviously he scored 2 goals the other day against Huesca, but obviously this game he wasn't there. So I think overall, I think Deportivo and Eibar, I think a draw was the fair result. over the
I mean, you
weekend.
look at it. How come? I mean, it's saying on SofaScore that you went with a 4-4-2. How come you guys maybe changed the formation for this game?
I mean, I would probably say like it was probably something to do with like just what do you call it? Like just being a lot more better defensively. I would say like
I mean,
uh,
you have Cruz playing out wide, which is interesting.
yeah,
Normally
because usually
he's
it's
sort of in the
David
midfield. Yeah,
David would be the one. So I think it's probably something like that you can say. But also I do think that this is, a very tough ground to go to unless if we had Messi, then it would have been super easy. But obviously there's no Messi. Uh, obviously Zakaria was on the bench as well.
wasn't the super sub, unfortunately, this
Yeah,
time.
unfortunately. But I think overall this game, I think obviously the penalty that Yermay scored was, a really good penalty, even though I think it wasn't a penalty. But sometimes you sometimes get luck as well. So I think I would say a draw in this game. I wasn't upset, even though of course it was last
I mean,
minute.
that's the thing, right? You maybe would have been okay with it before the
Yeah,
game, but because of the circumstances, because they equalized like late, it kind of stings because it should have been a win based on the fact there wasn't a lot of time left.
yeah, and I think overall, um, I think yeah, as you said, like a smash and grab type of game. It had Deportivo won it, but obviously didn't happen in the end. So it kind of means that everyone else either missed their chance to go above Deportivo, that being
Racing, you're right about racing. They bottled it,
yeah,
like crazy.
yeah. But also
Was it?
like
They were 3-0 up and lost
actually it
4-3.
was Sporting.
Oh, Sporting, that's it, Sporting. But then
But also
racing. You said they've got a habit of this bottling stuff.
oh, and they lost to Andorra, and obviously now actually
FC Andorra. That's the
Andorra,
team. Is that the team that PK owns?
yeah,
Yeah, and they're
and,
third. Yeah, they're third.
and they got promoted this past season.
Wow.
I actually did watch them when they were here in Lugo. It ended 0-0. So
They've had a good start, Andorra.
yeah,
I
very
mean,
good.
back to back promotions would be pretty crazy. To be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. I think overall, in the Segunda, in terms of like the table, you can say, um, obviously Deportivo are still in first place, um, alongside Cadiz. But I think I still say it's a bit early to call. I was kind of surprised that Cadiz didn't beat Ceuta, the team from North Africa. You can say.
The Spanish exclave in Morocco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that probably was a bit of a surprise, but there were a lot of you can say good games. You had the Leon derby between Valladolid and Leon, and Leonessa won the game against Valladolid away in Valladolid. Obviously, Burgos.
Valladolid, I mean, they're seventh now. They've dropped out. They've dropped out of the playoffs. So
Yeah, I know.
for a team that were probably favourites to come back up, but they haven't had a good start to the season.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, and I think overall, obviously, there is actually a game happening right now. Leganes are losing, as far as I know, against Castellon, a team from what do you call it? From Valencia, the region. And then, if you remember early on in this show's existence, we were talking about Sporting Gijon and how good they kind of started the season. And I said,
Oh yeah,
remember when they were in the top two, 9 points out of 9. Since they played Deportivo and lost, they've, as you said 3-0 up against Albacete at home. And they lost 4-3. They conceded 4 unanswered goals.
Oh my god.
Against Albacete. And Albacete were in the relegation zone.
How do you lose 4-3 when you're 3-0 up? That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I would say is the shock of the.
I mean, to be fair, I've seen my team draw from 3-0 up against West Ham and during lockdown.
Yeah.
Oh, my head loss was crazy for that game.
I don't know, whenever you play Arsenal. But I think
not till November, not till the end of November. But the first game's at the Emirates, so it will be a while. It will be a while. It's a while before we play them at the Tottenham Stadium.
yeah, but I think overall in terms of the table, yeah, it's still pretty early, but I think just have to see how things go. Obviously, Deportivo and Cadiz, the two teams in the top two, they are unbeaten. I forget when we play. I think it's November. We play Cadiz. Let me check actually. When did we play? Oh yeah, it's like probably like November, December. So it's still a while before we play Cadiz. But obviously, you know, we're not playing the. We are playing a team from Andalusia, not being Cadiz, but we are playing Almeria as our next game.
Almeria, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously got.
How'd you see that going next game? Obviously, Almeria, you know, they're in La Liga 2 seasons ago. They're currently ninth, but they have won their last 2 games. So
yeah.
How'd you kind of feel about this game?
I mean, last season, obviously kind of different teams because obviously different circumstance. But yeah, Almeria have been probably alongside Santander, also you can say Deportivo and Albacete as like teams that at least score goals now. 13 goals scored, 13 conceded. Almeria, obviously, I remember they started the season with a 4-4 draw at home. Obviously, this game is at home on Saturday, on my birthday. So hopefully a little bit of a good omen, I guess. But yeah, I think in terms of the game against Almeria, I think the record against them, at least, you know, the games last season, I think we lost 2-1 away and beat them 3-1 at home. So because we are playing at home, you know, maybe it's a good thing that we're playing them, I guess. But I do think it'll be a tough game against Almeria because obviously, you know, they could do something. Obviously, I remember, you know, yeah, they won the past 2 games, that being against Las Palmas and Gijón. So, you know, pretty decent, good teams and all. And they did also bottle a 2-0 lead against Racing Santander at home. So they're also kind of bottlers now, Almeria. But I think overall, I would say Almeria are, you know, a team to look out for because I actually did predict them to win the league. But at the moment, it doesn't seem like it. But I would probably say in terms of the head-to-head, but this is like a long time ago. You know, Deportivo don't have the best head-to-head against them, but that's like ages ago because, you know, apart from last season, the last meeting before was the 2019-20 season. So, and that was almost like a completely different team and all that. So I think, you know, you can only judge it on the past 2 games from last season. So I wouldn't say I'm confident, but I also kind of hope that Deportivo win. I think this weekend will be good. Tottenham lose to Leeds and Deportivo beat Almeria.
To be fair, the Leeds game is the one before the international break, so
yeah,
we know what that usually means because for some reason we can't win games before an international break. I don't know why.
Yeah, but in terms of prediction against Almeria, I will go for I'll go 2-0. Deportivo.
I reckon, look, you need to get back to, obviously Eibar wasn't a great performance. You need to get back to that sort of free flowing scoring. Obviously without the player that you have that's gone on to the Euros at the moment. Obviously is a big loss for not the Euros, the World Cup, the U20 World Cup. But being at home, Almeria, look, they have won back-to-back games, but haven't been the most consistent team so far this season. Deportivo top still, despite obviously not winning over the weekend. Look, Deportivo, look, if they get back to their free scoring form, being at home, I think will be a good advantage as well. I think I'm going to back Deportivo here. I'm gonna back Ten's team when he didn't back my team. So I'm gonna
I said
go
4-0
for.
against Spezia.
I'm talking about Venezia, but anyway, I guess yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. You backed us on one of the games, so I'll take it. But I'll say a 3-1, 3-1 Deportivo. I think you guys, yeah, being at home, I think you'll look at this that if you can turn up in this game, I think you kind of get maybe Zakaria will start. Maybe you'll see obviously Cruz as well. I think if you get him involved, I think yeah, I think Deportivo, I think I'd fancy them. I think I'll probably make them favourites. So yeah, I'll go for 3-1 for Deportivo and for them to stay at the top of La Liga 2. So there you go. 10. I think that covers everything on both teams today. Is there any final thoughts you want to say on either Deportivo or Palermo before we start wrapping up the show?
Yeah. So far, Deportivo haven't lost a game so far. Whereas Palermo, at least finally we got to talk about a loss. Hopefully we get to add another one the next week.
Or tomorrow. Not tomorrow. No, hopefully never.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, so far, obviously, both teams have done well to start the season, but I think obviously the main thing would be what happens in October, November, December.
Yeah, look, it's still for even. I know Deportivo have played more games than Palermo, but for both teams, it's still very early in the season. The tables, I know both teams are in a good position, and both are in sort of where we both want to be at the end of the season. But regardless, the table doesn't mean anything. So when the table means something, it's at the business end of the season. So hopefully both teams, like I said, we're praising them now, but hopefully this continues and both are in that sort of territory come April, May time. So let's see. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the show. Another episode of La Piña Rosa about Deportivo and Palermo. And it was another good show. It was another really good show. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. Make sure you're subscribing to Charlie's Take. Make sure you're subscribing to this way. Make sure you're subscribing to 10 by 10 as well. 10, anything coming up on your channel, of course, being streamed on both channels. So yeah, make sure you're subscribing and liking both streams. But yeah, anything coming up that you want to shout out?
Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to do the Union Saint Gilloise game. I have something to do at that time. Well, obviously, I'll obviously keep an eye on it for the Champions League game. And then I guess the show obviously we do on Thursday.
I'll tell you what, Year of the Bird. There's going to be a lot of head loss, I think, this week. But I think obviously
we'll see what happens tomorrow night, and
I think depending on what happens in the Champions League, that might help, ease it a bit. But just a quick spoiler for Year of the Bird this week on Thursday. There is going to be a lot of head loss about that weekend of Premier League football that I had to sit through. And I guess, 10 as well. Both had to sit through. Me for not one, but 2 games. And then 10 for obviously the one, which obviously I'm also pissed off about. So, yeah. So that will be interesting. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. 5 p.m. UK time on Thursday. 6 p.m. Spanish time where 10 is. So, yeah. Make sure you guys have subscribed and turn notifications on both channels. So you don't miss.
And also, I think I'll do maybe 1 hour, something like that. Birthday stream on Saturday.
Oh yeah, birthday stream. Yeah, on Saturday.
I don't know when. I'll see what time I'm free.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Big up to everyone in the chat that joined today as well. And yeah, Forza Palermo. And we will see you guys in the next one.